Welcome to the deep dive. This is where we take your sources, could be articles, research, maybe even just notes you've jotted down, and we really try to pull out the most important insights. Think of it as, well, your shortcut to being well informed, maybe with a few surprises and hopefully a bit of humor along the way. So for today's deep dive, we're doing something a little different. We're not looking at the latest study or, some business trend. Instead, we're exploring, well, one of the most beloved and I think profound passages ever written. It's offered comfort and guidance for millennia. Okay, let's unpack this a bit. Our focus today is Psalm 23. You probably know it as "The Lord is my shepherd." It was written by King David. It's short, yeah, but incredibly powerful. A poem of trust, of comfort. We want to explore its core message, maybe find some surprising layers, and then really dig into how its ancient truths can genuinely encourage obedience and strengthen your faith today. When you first read it, Psalm 23 gives you this really vivid picture, doesn't it? God is a shepherd, life is a journey. It seems simple on the surface, but I wonder if sometimes, maybe because it's so familiar, we kind of miss the depth. What's your first reaction when you think about David, a king calling God his shepherd?
That's a really great place to start, actually. Because David, well, he was a shepherd before he was a king. He knew this life intimately. He understood just how vulnerable sheep are and the relentless work it takes to be a good shepherd, protecting them, guiding them. So when he says, verse 1, "The Lord is my shepherd, I shall not want," it's not just like pretty words. It's this radical statement of absolute trust and sufficiency.
Absolute sufficiency. That's interesting.
Think about it. Our world is constantly telling us we need more, right? More stuff, more status. And David just cuts through that. He says, basically, with God leading me, I lack nothing essential. It reframes want entirely. Maybe true want isn't about not having enough things, but more about a spiritual lack, a lack of trust in God's provision. Fulfillment isn't getting more. It's realizing you're already cared for.
I really like that. It challenges that scarcity mindset right from the start. Okay, so where does the journey go after establishing that trust?
Well, right after that, in verse 2, David talks about rest and restoration. He maketh me to lie down in green pastures. He leadeth me beside the still waters. Such a peaceful image. And in David's time, sheep, well, they're quite anxious animals. They won't just lie down anywhere. They need to feel completely safe, fed, no predators around, no tension in the flock.
Right.
So he maketh me lie down. It suggests the shepherd actively creates that environment of peace and recovery. It's not just happening. God is providing it. It's an invitation to find calm, even when life feels chaotic.
That word makes feels important there. It's not just suggesting, it's like an active provision of rest. Sometimes we really need that nudge, don't we?
We absolutely do. And after that physical sort of emotional settling, verse 3 moves to the spiritual. He restoreth my soul. He leadeth me in the paths of righteousness for his name's sake. So now we're talking about inner renewal. Restoring my soul, that sounds like bringing you back to life when you're weary or lost or just spiritually drained. And then paths of righteousness. These aren't necessarily the easiest paths, are they? But they're the right ones. The ones that align with God's character, his purpose. And notice, it's for his name's sake. It suggests this guidance isn't just for our benefit, though it is, but it also reflects who God is, his reputation. His character is tied up in guiding us well.
Okay, so we've got provision, rest, spiritual renewal, moral guidance. But life isn't always those green pastures, is it? David certainly knew hardship. How does the psalm handle the tough stuff?
Yeah, exactly. And that leads us straight into verse 4, probably the most famous part.
Yeah.
Yea, though I walk through the valley of the shadow of death, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me.
Such powerful words.
They really are. And that valley of the shadow of death, it's not just about dying, is it? It could be any period of intense crisis, deep fear, maybe loss, or just overwhelming darkness. What's striking is he says, though I walk through, not if. He accepts that these valleys are part of life's journey.
We're right, it's inevitable.
But his core conviction isn't, I won't face danger. It's, I won't fear because you are with me. The presence of the shepherd changes everything. And then he mentions the rod and thy staff, they comfort me. This isn't just symbolic. A shepherd's rod was literally a heavy club for fending off predators. Protection. And the staff, with its hook, was for guiding sheep, rescuing them if they fell, counting them. It's about gentle guidance and intimate care. So the comfort comes from both God's power to protect and his tenderness to guide. Active comfort.
That distinction is so helpful. Protection and guidance makes the comfort feel very real, very active, not just a passive feeling.
Exactly. And then from that dark valley, David shifts to this really quite surprising image in verse 5. Thou preparest a table before me in the presence of mine enemies.
Yeah, that one always gets me. A feast with enemies watching. It seems so bold.
It's incredibly counterintuitive,
Yeah.
but it speaks volumes about God's honor and blessing. It's not happening after the danger is gone, but right there, in the middle of the opposition. And then, thou anointest my head with oil, my cup runneth over. Anointing was a sign of being a guest of honor, of blessing, maybe even healing. And the overflowing cup, lavish abundance, it teaches us something powerful. Our value, our standing with God isn't determined by who's against us or what circumstances look like. God honors us publicly, even amidst hostility. It's like finding peace right in the storm's eye.
Wow. So peace isn't about the absence of trouble, but the presence of God's provision and affirmation despite the trouble. That really shifts perspective.
It does. And the psalm builds to this incredible climax in verse 6. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me all the days of my life, and I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. Okay. Notice the certainty. Surely. This isn't just wishful thinking. It's deep conviction. And goodness and mercy aren't just abstract ideas. They're like active companions. That word follow in Hebrew can even imply pursue or chase after. Like God's goodness and loving kindness are relentlessly tracking us down every single day.
Relentlessly, I like that.
Yeah. And then the end goal, I will dwell in the house of the Lord forever. It speaks of ultimate security, permanent belonging, not just visiting, but dwelling. Lifelong, eternal intimacy and safety with God.
Okay, so we've walked through these amazing verses. We've seen the shepherd's care, the journey through valleys and pastures, the feast amidst enemies. But let's bring it home. How do these ancient words, this shepherd song, actually encourage us toward obedience and strengthen our faith in, the messy reality of 2024? What's the practical takeaway for us right now?
That's the crucial question, isn't it? How does this land in your life listening right now? Well, let's think about some applications first. Maybe lean into care, not just hustle. Our culture screams, do more, work harder, burnout is normal. But this psalm says, he makes me lie down. It invites intentional rest, recovery. Recognizing our limits isn't weakness. It's actually an act of obedience to how we're designed. I remember times feeling like I had to be productive constantly. This psalm was like a permission slip to trust God's provision enough to actually rest and be restored. That builds faith, knowing God values your well-being, not just your output.
That's so needed. Permission to rest. It feels almost rebellious today, but maybe it's just obedient. Okay, what's another application?
Second, you don't have to be fearless to walk through fear. The psalm doesn't say you'll never feel afraid. It says, I will fear no evil, for thou art with me. So if you're facing illness or uncertainty at work or just anxiety about the future, feeling scared, doesn't mean your faith is failing.
That's free.
It really is. Courage isn't the absence of fear. It's moving forward despite the fear, trusting God is right there beside you.
Yeah.
The shepherd walks through the valley with the sheep. Obedience here is continuing to walk where he leads, even when you're trembling, because you trust his presence and protection.
Trusting his presence more than the feeling of fear. Okay.
Third application. You can have peace even when life isn't perfect. That image of the table prepared in the presence of my enemies is key here. It tells us that inner peace, God's peace, isn't dependent on all our problems vanishing first. It's a gift available amidst the struggle. This strengthens faith because you experience peace that doesn't make worldly sense. And obedience is choosing to receive that peace, focusing on his provision and presence, rather than letting the enemies or problems dictate your inner state.
So peace isn't the absence of enemies, but the presence of the host. Right. How does that affect our daily choices?
Well, that leads to application 4, live guided, not just reactive. The psalm repeatedly says, he leadeth me. It implies intentional direction. We live in such a distracted world, constantly pulled by notifications, demands, news cycles. It's easy to just react all day long. But this psalm encourages taking time, maybe through prayer, quiet reflection, to actually seek God's guidance. What path is he leading you on today? Obedience here is actively choosing to seek his direction rather than just getting swept along by everything else. It realigns us with what truly matters.
That's a challenge, to pause and seek guidance instead of just reacting. Powerful. Okay, one more.
And fifth, and finally, trust that your story is being held. The psalm ends with that incredible confidence. Surely goodness and mercy shall follow me. I will dwell forever. If you're feeling uncertain about the future or maybe wondering if your struggles mean you're forgotten, this passage anchors you. It strengthens your faith by reminding you of God's unwavering, lifelong, eternal commitment to you. His goodness and mercy are constants. Your life, your story, is held within His larger, loving purpose. Trusting that, especially when things are tough, is a deep act of faith.
Wow. So this deep dive into Psalm 23, it really feels like taking a deep breath, doesn't it? It's this timeless reassurance that you're not alone, not forgotten, not without help.
Exactly. Whether you feel like you're in green pastures right now or trudging through a really dark valley, the message is the same. You are being led, you are provided for, you are protected, and ultimately, you belong. It paints this picture of God who is both incredibly powerful and intimately near. So, thinking about that powerful image, being led by this shepherd through all of life, maybe consider this week what's one small intentional step you could take to consciously allow yourself to be guided by him rather than just reacting to all the demands that life throws your way.